Hey everybody, my name is Brendan Noble. I'm a young adult author. Welcome back to my Slavic Saturday series where we talk about Slavic mythology, folklore, and history related to my Slavic fantasy series and the first book in the series, A Dagger in the Winds. Last week we talked about some folklore around the bear in the forest hut, but this week we return to the mythological side of things with a Slavic demon or a nymph called the Vila. And so the Vila is a specifically often a southern Slavic myth. It does show up in both Slovakian and Polish mythology as well, but it's predominantly a southern Slavic myth. The Vila are very similar to a lot of other demons in Slavic myth, where they are people or children that encounter untimely deaths. Instead of going to the underworld of Navia that we talked about a couple weeks ago, they instead are trapped on Earth as a demon because of their unnatural deaths. And so the Vili are women, and specifically young girls, who were usually either about to be wed and died before that their wedding actually happened. And this is particularly popular among the Slovak culture, and then among the Polish culture, it was considered that the Vila were young women who had lived frivolous or idle lives, and this was kind of this afterlife was their punishment for not being productive in life. But regardless of the culture, Vili are portrayed very similarly once they become demons. They are usually considered beautiful young women. There are three different types of nymphs. They can be water or sea nymphs, forest nymphs, or sky and cloud nymphs. And they often were portrayed of flying around as fairies, often very little clothing or very translucent clothing. They would sing, dance, and lure in men and young boys who were wandering or traveling nearby. And this is kind of where there becomes kind of a split between the two different type of Vili. There are the black fairies and the white fairies. This is kind of sometimes an older Slavic myth that there's the black representation is the dark and white is the positive. There's no difference in the description of how the looks of these different fairies, but the black fairies were malevolent. They would lure in the heroes or any young men around and try to dance them to death or tickle them to death depending on the story. This falls in line with a lot with often the Greek sirens that would try to lure men away. And this was thought that these were the dark nymphs trying to punish young men because they were never allowed to be happy and have their wedding. So they would punish those who were also trying to, yet to be wed, but were trying to have fun. And then you have the good nymphs and the white nymphs that were considered usually very helpful to the heroes in the stories. They often were considered to accompany them, show them a way, fight along their side. They were considered to be a sister of the hero if the hero helps them. Sometimes even the hero could take the nymph as his wife, and they could have children together, which is kind of an odd thing, but it was considered that the hero would become so distracted by her beauty that nothing else mattered, and he'd kind of go reclusive place with her. That occurs in some stories, and there's another weird, interesting thing with these demons that kind of shows how wide variety they can do, from everything from stealing babies and replacing them with changelings to marrying the hero. But in just both the nefarious and the helpful forms of the Vila, there is the commonality that they're very good at healing powers. They often have bows and arrows, either to help or distract the hero. And they would try to reward people that helped them in life and punish those that did them poorly in life. And this is common among a lot of the demons that used to be people, that they punish the people that wronged them. And this kind of goes with a lot of the ancient Slavic traditions of beliefs of there's not this necessarily, there's kind of more of a spectrum on the good versus evil grayness of it, but there was always the focus on just being a good person, being hospitable and helpful to the people around you, and the demons were often considered to be a portion of if you were a bad person, you were going to be punished for it. And in my own series, and specifically in A Dagger in the Winds, the Vila do show up in some their more nefarious form, trying to lure away the travelers. I won't go too much detail. I'll talk about it more in another video when I'm talking more about the book series specifically. But know that when it comes to the control over the skies in Slavic mythology and my stories, they are going to play an important role. So that's all I have for you today on the Slavic Saturday series. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Come out with new videos every Saturday. Also, if you have any ideas or interesting things that you would like me to talk about, please go ahead and suggest those. I have a lot of fun ones, and sometimes I don't know what exactly people want. So go ahead and give me some ideas. I'll talk about a lot of the ones. I've got lists and lists of information, so we can see what the most fun ones that people want to talk about. See you guys all next week.